So just as a little disclaimer before we start, these are just some notes for you to follow if you're maybe studying towards one of your early years qualifications. You might cover different things within your lesson, but I just wanted to go over just a few pointers for you to help you to maybe put together your assignments or to put together your briefs. So today we're looking at why do we communicate? And you might want to start by thinking about who we communicate with as early years practitioners. So we have our children, we have our parents and carers, we have our families, so our grandparents, we have childminders, we have other early years practitioners who we may need to communicate with, our colleagues. If you're working in multi-agency teams, there are other people who you may need to communicate with. So thinking about those, you might want to go over some of these points with different perspectives, with one perspective. It depends on the instructions within your assignments. So thinking about why do we communicate, thinking about the children, we may want to praise and encourage what they're doing. We also want to build relationships, and that's really crucial when we're working with others, because it's not just building relationships with children. You need to think about building relationships with the parents that you're working with. They need to be able to trust you with the children in their care. Moving on from that, you might think about obtaining information. So what information do we need to get from others? So if you've got a new child starting, you might think about what are their likes, their preferences. Do they have any specific needs that we need to cater for? We need to gain information in terms of contact details and next of kin, so that we can ring them in an emergency or if there's anything that we need to share with them. Thinking about the children moving on from this, allowing time to communicate for them to express their wishes and their preferences. So for example, you might be putting together a play activity and the children aren't participating, they aren't enjoying it. What could you do? You could maybe have a conversation with them. Think about, what are they actually enjoying the most? Is there something you can build to develop that further? And again, finding something out. If we need to know something from the child, from another practitioner, from a colleague, having that time to discussing our experiences. Reflective practice is really important, and you'll look at that over the course of your studies. It's really important for us to reflect together. Reflect and think about how we can improve things, how we can support others that we're working with, how we can build on our initial plans. You might need to express a need. It could be that you need support with a task. It could be that you need to explain to a colleague about what the routine is and the help that you need with that. Especially as you move forward into management and into leadership. If you're in a even for any of you working within the early years environment, you may need to give instructions, or it might be even to the child, giving them instructions to say, right, we're doing this now, thinking about how you adapt your communication for both parties. Expressing emotions. Remember within the setting that you are a role model, that you have to be able to be open and honest, not talking about things that are very personal to you, but thinking about things that make you happy, things that make you sad, explaining to children at a developmental appropriate stage as to how you feel, why you feel that way, so you can talk about that within your assignment as well. Thinking about passing on information. And remember, with communication, it isn't just verbal communication. There's a lot of different ways that we communicate. Sometimes it might be in a written report form. You might have to write up an accident report if a child had maybe took a tumble in the playground. Thinking about what information you need to pass on. And if you're ever unsure of what needs to be passed on, ask for help, ask for some guidance with that. Really important as practitioners that we share our ideas and concepts. How could you develop something further? What could you think about there? Sharing with others means that we can reflect, and we'll move on to that. But that's another reason why we may communicate. So there's just a few pointers to help you to maybe start putting together your plans for covering that criteria.